Now it's my great pleasure to announce another keynote speaker, the Chief Digital Officer of Generali, Moshe Tamir. Actually, Moshe is the Chief Digital Officer at Generali, but he used to work at Intel in employee benefits. So he really made the move from being a client to becoming an insurer. Another reason to invite him is that he is from Israel. And Israel is, as most of you know, one of the most important fintech hubs in the world. And yeah, well, last but not least, he's also strongly connected with Antemis, one of the venture capitalists that are very much in the fintech space as well. So that was for us the reason to be very pleased with his accepting our invitation.
It's a great starting for keeping the people from their tapas break and drinks. So it's a good introduction.
But maybe the first question: you actually worked at Intel and you moved to insurance, and that's that's boring. That's about low involvement. It's about complex products. What do you think is interesting?
So first, it was a long time ago. It was like 13 years ago. I was head of employee compensation and benefits for Intel. And then, I've dealt a lot with insurance companies, building pension plans, medical plans. And then I found out, the most sophisticated people, the best engineers, cannot really understand insurance. They can do much more complex things, but insurance they couldn't understand. And we really took the challenge 13 years ago to make insurance much more easier for them to understand, because those people usually work for 15 to 20 years. This is their average time. If they don't save in the right proportion and they don't plan their retirement in the right way, they will miss it when they're retired. So we invested a lot, and then I saw that there is a big gap in this understanding. And when I got the offer to move to the other side, I took it, and then we tried to reinvent from the other side.
You did those reinvention offers mostly in Israel, and then you moved to Generali, becoming the Chief Digital Transformation Officer. What do you do in that capacity?
So yeah, digital transformation, I think we spoke a lot about it today. It sounds like a big role, a big word and a big role. But in reality, we are doing three main things. First, we are trying to transform what we do today, so transform the core business. So Generali, present in 40 countries around the globe. We have more than 70 million customers and approximately 100,000 agents or physical distribution channels, which, if you look at the history, they didn't really change too much the way they are doing business. And customer expectations, customer experience, the whole thing, that amazing stuff we heard today, push us to reinvent the way we are interacting with them. So transforming the core, very much focusing on customers and distribution experience, the front, and then fixing the back. In parallel, reinventing, so try to build new business models while we are transforming the core. And the third pillar, we are a huge company, so we have 40 markets, which is a huge asset in terms of knowledge sharing, capability building, both in IT, but also in terms of experiences, cultures. So I'm just coming back from Indonesia earlier this week, and the end of the week I will be in Munich. So these extremes, on one hand, huge growing markets, growing from a market that have maybe 5,000 to 10,000 agents to maybe in 3 to 4 years, 60,000 to 70,000 agents per company, into a more mature, stable market. So these balances, in my role, I'm trying to bring the added value, best practices, but also culturally from the different explorations.
So you could say that the first assignment is really about restoring the past. The second one is about creating a future. And the third one is getting people on board and moving things forward. Is that a way to summarize it, sort of?
Yes, but making sure everything is playing together. So I'm one person, so we're working in a big organization, so we have a lot of functions that are, each one is dealing more specifically with those elements and trying to bring everybody together on the same boat in a close to 80,000 people, companies. It's the biggest challenge.
And you're doing it with a really small, agile team, right?
Yes, so we believe, we are in a global, we are in the head office, global position. The markets are the one who are generating the business. So our role is very much to create the infrastructure, the ecosystem, in order to accelerate the pace locally. So the resources are more in the markets, in the business, in our team, is really to look forward, to create the infrastructure and build for them to accelerate.
Now you mentioned that you were in Indonesia earlier this month, and now, for instance, in Germany. Well, regardless of the two countries, very emerging markets and very mature markets. One of your competitors actually shared today with me that in terms of the hurdles of implementing digital transformation, things may go a lot faster in emerging markets than in mature markets. What's your experience in that?
Yes, so I think it's interesting. We call it, no integration and heavy integration. So one of the advantages of those emerging markets, especially when you talk about partnerships, bringing on board external fintech or software companies on board, always when you come to the big integration projects, then it could be a big, you will spend a lot of time there. So in that perspective, those markets are moving very fast. The excuse we can put from a European perspective that they don't have to integrate, but I think it's also cultural change mindset, which is a little bit different there.
Okay. Now, today we saw already like 25 innovative fintechs. What is your take out? How have you experienced the things that you like, did not like, the trends? What is your...
So first, I think it was great. Keeping all the people until this, the end of the day in a conference like that is already meant that it worked. Personally, I will not mention any names because then we are decreasing our power to Bergen later. But I like three trends or themes that were presented here. Because when we talk about disruptive technologies, we can always think about, the new Google of insurance or the new end-to-end insurance company. I think this was the buzzword in fintech a couple of years ago, and now everybody understands it's about taking the pieces of the value chains. So three areas which I really like here today. First, some companies show that how they help connect the old and the new, which is our number one challenge. Second, understanding that insurance is not only about technology, it's about the ability to connect technology and people. So what we call the phygital world. So how we connect the physical and the digital worlds. Because when you think about life insurance, health insurance, disability insurance, in reality, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, wow, today I really need a very good disability insurance. Let me Google it. So it doesn't work like that. So the ability to connect also help us with the traditional companies to accelerate assets that we already have, distribution and customer. And the third pillar is companies that we're presenting how we can penetrate to new segments that we've never been, like the millennials, with some offers very, very interesting about how to utilize mobile in order to penetrate new market share, which today is totally underinsured. Level of understanding is very, very low. If we not make it accessible for them, they will never join insurance in the future. So these are the three themes that I really like to see today. And
what was missing in your idea?
So yeah, one of the things I was expecting to see, maybe we'll see more of that tomorrow. We talked a lot about data analytics today. We talked a lot about the insurance piece, the core insurance. But I think we all have to remember that there is another very important piece in our value proposition in insurance today, which is all of our partnerships with the third-party providers. So all the assistance services, which are the real tangible assets that we sell to the customers. Because when customers buy a life insurance or a health insurance, the cases that he will be in contact with us is very, very low to minimum. So there is no touch point with us. The real touch points we have today with customers that when they broke their car, somebody have to help them with the road assistance. When they have a medical check, somebody helps and accompany them through the whole journey. When they have a leakage at home, so the whole journey with our third-party provider, I think, represent a very interesting opportunity to broaden our value proposition. This is where technology, special mobile, could really, really redesign our experience. And I think those areas will be even easier for us as insurance to partner with because less regulated, less capital requirements, and much more tangible in a short time impact on our customer experience. And keep in mind, we are an industry that is very much focused on always getting new customers. In reality, the numbers that we're talking about are 20 to 35%, depend on the market, depends on the geography, our customer turnover. So customer exchanging company, 20 to 35% of them every year. So just imagine, you go to a traditional insurance company, you've been able to offer them a value proposition that just improve in 1 point this retention. It's not a future ROI, it's existing immediate impact. So this is an area that I think which could be really accelerated through technology, through mobility.
Yeah, the pain points that the customer experience often relate to the third-party performance. For instance, the repair shop or the health provider and things like that. And creating that ecosystem, that network is therefore vital. And technology should serve one way or the other in that respect. You mentioned mobility. Can you expand on that? What are you thinking of when you think of mobility being like a driver for the future of insurance?
Yeah, so it's always a challenge because if you really think about insurance, our product is digital, it's virtual. It's a virtual product distributing in a physical place, agents, brokers. And so we didn't really have a chance to demonstrate, to have the customer the option to touch the product. So when I'm trying to explain my daughter, she's 12 years old, what do I do in my work? Because she sees friends, they're working for industrial companies, their parents, she could really understand what they're doing, but I'm trying to explain her what I'm working, she doesn't really understand. We cannot touch our product. Mobile, the whole ability to redesign experiences through mobile and utilize all the mobility capabilities give us a great opportunity to increase touch points with the customers through the way you drive, the way you live, the Nest stuff with your home, and the increase of those touch points hopefully will increase the satisfaction of the customers and increase finally the retention of them with us because they will really see value. Mobile context, social, could be the remote control of those relationships in the future from my perspective. So.
And I think that one thing that we learned also from the presentation of Nest and basically also from the data-centered presentations of today is that of course data will create a huge disruption, not to use that wrongly used word, in the industry, but you especially speak about mobility and not about the data. Can you...
So again, if you look at insurance company, our business is data. The whole insurance industry is built on data. We've been doing a lot with data. I think the real change is happening is the capacity and the technology that enable us to do more with this data. So I expect that this is where we have to partner more in order to get help on what to do with this data. This is one element. On the technology side, when a new technology comes to the market, so there is always kind of a period when people are kind of scared. What is going to be the impact of this technology? But finally, when you look specifically on the business, on the board discussion, on management discussion, the real discussions are not about implementing new technology. The real discussions are happening about how is our business model should look like with this new technology environment and what we have to readjust in our business model. Because, insurance companies, financial services, they have pretty much enough capital. They can invest in technology. But the real challenges is through the technology, where is the added value that we can still keep on our side in order to stay in the game?
That made me think of, like last Saturday I was doing my groceries and I was visiting the supermarket. And then when I went to the cashier, the lady behind the cash register, she was looking at my groceries and then she was smiling. So I told her, I said, hey, why are you smiling when you look at my groceries? She said, well, when I look at your groceries, I can see what kind of family you have. And I do that with every client, so I know exactly who's coming in my store, and it tells me a lot. And yeah, I'm mentioning this anecdote because on the one hand it's a technology, but you need to have such people in place to really make that translation between the data and what can we do with it. And I can also imagine that that's not really about technology then, but to be more provocative, it's really about people.
So yeah, I think it's a combination. So also if we look at insurance, we try to speak about insurance. Maybe you can do some differentiation between push and pull products. So if somebody needs a car insurance now because regulatory, so we intuitively will go find, search, compare, and decide. But when you look about products like life insurance, health insurance, pension, those really needs the combination. And do we expect our agents, our brokers, our physical distribution channels to have a huge marketing, data analytics department team in their office? Or do we expect them to get that data or does solution from external provider, external solution, and focus on what they know to do the best, which is managing relationships. So this is where I think the combination of how we can enable them, some of the ideas we saw today I really like on that area, so we can enable them to focus on what they do best, building, managing relationships.
Now, what we also see currently is that a lot of insurance carriers are investing, direct investing via a venture capital arm or whatever, in fintechs. Some are very successful, others just lack the knowledge and doing it for the first time or less successful. What's your take on that? What are the success factors?
So first on that area, we cannot have like a best practice yet. So I cannot see any best practice on that. Our approach in generally that when we identify an area that we are missing the skills, the knowledge, and the understanding, we are looking either to partner or to acquire. So for example, lately we announced an acquisition of a company called MyDrive, which is sort of a telematics data analytics provider. We also announced a year ago a partnership with Discovery, which is a South African insurance company, and we partnered there in order to introduce a vitality program which encourage people to change their behavior in order to reduce their level of, improve their wellness and reduce their level of premiums in life and health. So we believe that partnerships or acquisition were relevant, but again, the whole mindset of most of the insurance company in the last year, which I see it's really changing now, was very much focused internally. So now it's changed, but it's a journey.
Of course, since you are coming from a fintech central country, and since you've been so much involved in venture capital also in that area, I can imagine that you also take some of that expertise with you when you think about, okay, how do we collaborate from the side of Generali with those fintechs? And what would be your learnings for the audience?
Yes. So I have some learnings. So a couple of, I would call tips or ways to interact. So finally, we are large organizations, so sometimes we need patience, which is a challenge when you're a startup, when you have to grow, when you have to raise, and you want to make sure you're focused. Second, how to make sure when we partner, there is not a perception that somebody's really boiled the ocean. So there were great solutions I saw today. If we come with this comprehensive solution, you wouldn't find the right person to pitch in the organization, which will be the owner of that and will take it to the next step. So sometimes it's very, very important in those huge organizations to find the right person that is really passionate. Maybe it's part of the journey. Connect with him. Third, prototype. Prototype very, very, very quickly, because the whole story of prototyping, our board meeting, our management, they are tired from seeing tons of Excels, tons of documents, and when you come with a quick prototype, with something which is very, very tangible, you get the passion, which is taking a totally different dimension. So prototyping, find the right person to engage, and be patient. And the be patient means that sometimes it takes longer, but when you're really connected, then it could really, really be broad.
And taking the other side of the table, being an insurance company, how should you treat those fintechs?
No, that's a tough one. So my perception, again, as I mentioned before, that's probably there's not going to be, one winner for the whole value chain. And the one that will really be able to identify the parts on the value chains that could be improved and identify the right partners in advance. So we try to look for them. We try, hopefully, to exclusively partner with them so we get an advantage on the markets we are operating. So this is, in a nutshell, our strategy there.
Okay, thank you very much, Moshe. And we'll sure chat along during drinks.
Okay, sorry for keeping you from the drinks. Thank you very much.